Hello, welcome to Three Guys in the Bible. It has been a while since we've gotten to spend some time with everybody. Guys, believe it or not, we had people ask.
That's good. We were missed.
We were missed, and we apologize. We had lots of things going on. That's called an excuse. Everything from vacation to week of service camp, a mission trip in Indianapolis with the youth group that Ken was on. Just all kinds of things kept cropping up, and so even though this week is going to be kind of a crazy week, I might mention that on a future podcast, what the little secret endeavor that I'm partaking in tomorrow and Thursday. But we're excited to be back with you, and what we kind of did was we just sat around and talked for, half hour, 45 minutes together to see what direction God kind of led the conversation amongst us three, and figured that whatever direction God led that would probably be what he thought we needed to share with you guys. And so that's what we're going to do today. This recording is taking place on July 16th. So we are, 4 days now after an assassination attempt on the president, the former president of the United States. Actually, they still call the past president's president.
Yeah.
So you can do that, however you want to word it. We just began to reflect and think, in the midst of summer and the chaos and life in general, life is short and life is precious. And so as believers or pre-believers, either one, what does that mean to us? His life was spared. Unfortunately, a father there in attendance, his life was not. Something that often gets lost in the mix of all of this is the shooter's life also was taken, and there's a family that's impacted by that, and so there's a lot of things at play. But the reality is, hey, for all of us, life is short, and so, what does that mean to you guys when you think about not mortality? This doesn't need to be a dark discussion at all, but just that reality that life is short. So what are we going to make of it?
Well, I think a legacy has to do with it at some point. Just the fact that you, what do you want your kids to remember you for? I deal with that quite a bit. I think about what my son will remember me as one day, and just I pray, just being a father and that loves him and that loves Jesus, that he also remembers that. We were at camp this week, and me leading worship, and one of my good friends he's a few years older than me. He's 37. Was telling me that he feels old, and he feels that has what he done in his life so far been enough, and not necessarily regretting, but just could I have done things differently or better? And I'm sure there's a lot of people who think that.
Yeah, as a believer, that's a tough one, because if we're asking the question if what we've done is enough, the answer is always going to be no, because we can't. Mm-hmm. There's nothing we could accomplish to achieve what our ultimate goal, should be for eternity. That's only through the grace of God, which actually I just wrote a sermon having to do with that very topic of grace. And so, but in relation to our family and our kids, do we do enough? What have we done in raising them? What do they think of us? And I know I've definitely thought about that as well, because for the last, as long as I've had children, because Kaylee will be 24 this year, I've been serving within the church in some capacity. When she was born, I was just a volunteer. I shouldn't say it that way. Definitely not, because we can't survive without volunteers. I'm so thankful for every one of them, and I was glad to be one. I learned a lot through that phase of life, but then transitioned after a decade in that position into a full-time actual working at the church position. I've coached basketball, coached my kids' teams in different things, and just trying to be that godly example, to them. Can always reflect back and think, and a lot of people get caught in that regret of, did I fall short? And God, of course, would grab us right there and say, who cares? What are you doing now? What can you do now moving forward? Can you change? Can you be different? Be more like him?
When I think of life as short, I decided a long time ago to enjoy life to its fullest, and to make, David, you were talking about legacy, and I'm constantly thinking about that. And I've got another generation that I've now moved into of grandkids, and I think when they remember Grandpa, what are they going to remember? And I hope they remember, man, he was just a lot of fun. He just loved me to death. That's all I want them to remember. I don't care if they remember anything else about me. And so many times in our lives, when we think that life is short, we compare ourselves to others. Well, they have this, and I don't. So, how will my grandkids feel? How will my kids feel about that? And I'm a firm believer that all of that material stuff, it's kind of important, but in the long run, we just want people to feel that they were loved. And that is something that I learned a long time ago, is that every person I meet, I want them to feel the love of Jesus Christ, and I'm the guy to do that. I think that everybody that I coincidentally bump into throughout the day, they were put there by God. It wasn't a coincidence, but they were put there so that I could show them some love and consideration and respect. And so that's the legacy I want to leave, is just that when people think of Ken, that they're going to think, that was a guy right there that really tried to show the love of Jesus to every person he meets. And we look at every lifestyle is different. And my wife and I love to travel, and we're getting ready to take a trip. We've never been there before, and we were just talking the other day. Are you excited? And I said, well, I'm kind of excited and a little bit
nervous.
A little bit anxious. Yeah, because I don't know what to expect, because I've never been there before. So it'll be exciting and a little bit of anxiety.
You don't like my nickname for your trip, so I won't even mention it.
No, you can go ahead and say it.
No, I will not.
I'm not offended. I'm not offended.
I'm not going to talk about Ken's Big Fat Greek Vacation. I refuse to do it.
Well, I appreciate you not mentioning it.
Yeah.
One of the unique things about the three of us, again, we all come to ministry from very, very different backgrounds, even different faith traditions. But we do have some similar life experiences. All of us have definitely faced some adversity. I know Ken's definitely faced some, even health-related as well. I know David's been through some trials for sure in his life, and even events after that have really tested him and his relationship with his wife. And if it's possible to love your kids even more, I think David might be in that phase because of some situations that arose early in his son's arrival to this earth. And for me, it started when I was in high school. I was in a car accident with a friend, and my seatbelt didn't quite work quite the way I would have loved for it to. I won't blame the GM product, but hey, it wasn't my fault. It could have been a big deal. Fortunately, just ended up with a few stitches in the head, and that was it. But have since had a couple of other major medical incidents with a transplant and a heart attack, and things just completely unexpected and unprovoked, shall we say, by even lifestyle choices and everything else. And so for me, life is short. People say your life is taken from you. That's God's plan, and you almost could look at it. He relieves you of this life so you can pass into the next. But life is short, and so cherishing every moment. Some people that hang around me, especially in the planning world and things like that, might think I'm in a little too big a hurry with some things. Well, when you're in triple overtime in life and you don't know how much time you've got, and you feel the call of God, you sense God pushing and moving in a direction, why shouldn't we be moving ahead? Why shouldn't we be pursuing those kinds of things in life? There's an expression that is really, really a famous expression in church leadership and church board meetings and things like that. And they'll say things to the effect of, well, we just don't want to get too far ahead of God. I won't say what I really think, but I don't like it when people say that for lots of reasons, but I'll just go with truth here instead of my own personal feelings. You can't get ahead of God. He's already there. he's already at the end of time, because there is no end of time for God. He already knows the mistakes we're going to make, the failures we're going to have, the successes we're going to have. He knows the plan he has for us. And it's our job to discover his will that he's constantly revealing to us and follow that path on our life. And so we might feel like we get a little ahead or behind, but he knows exactly the pace that we'll be at. And if it's a project, if it's an endeavor, if we're supposed to accomplish that thing, God will allow for that to be accomplished. And if we're not yet, he won't allow that to be accomplished just yet. He'll have us wait a little longer. And we've got to rest in that. So many people of faith they just don't view life that way. And we should. We should cherish every moment we have with our kids, every moment we have with our spouses. Some of us have been with our spouses for a very, very long time. I mean, my wife did sit behind me in 5th grade. And I can genuinely say I love her more today than I did in our freshman year when we officially started dating for the final time. How do you view all of those things, in light of the stuff happening around us? How do you view your church? If life is short and precious, and we hold our God and King and Savior up the way we should, how do we view the family of God? Do we have that same love for it? Do we have that same urgency to serve and to give and to be involved and to love those people within? When we look around our community, do we just evaluate and go, well, nothing's going to change there? I've heard that from people. Well, they're just never going to change. Until they meet Jesus, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
But who's going to be the one to introduce them to Jesus? Man, it's hard to think about.
And as a Christian, we have to know that when our life's over and 150 years from now, they're not going to remember us at all.
Mm-hmm.
Especially me, since I won't have any tangible pictures, and mine will all be on a phone in digital dust somewhere. But we just got to remember that our lives don't end here, and that we need to really work on in the heavenly realm, be considerate of people around us, because that's what actually matters.
Yeah. Does our legacy? Does our family know Christ? Mm-hmm. That's our immediate legacy. As men sitting here, as women listening, as teenagers who might be listening, does our family know Christ? Because if they do, then our legacy continues, whether our great-great-great-grandchildren ever know us or our name.
Yep.
If they know the name of Jesus, they'll get to meet us one day, and that will be phenomenal. And then the influence that we have goes beyond that. As pastors, we have the opportunity to influence in a unique way. Because God will bring people to us within our environment, but we've got to get outside of that environment. Who else have we reached for Christ? Because again, if we reach another man, another woman, another family for Christ, then that legacy has the potential to continue then, and we're growing heaven, we're making Jesus famous, and that should be our legacy. The legacy of our church, isn't just things that we do, it's people we reach for Christ.
Right.
And souls saved, eternities changed, because that is the legacy. That is the greatest need that exists within our world today.
Relationships. It is absolutely 100% about relationships. Just making people, feel they're loved.
Yep. And in this world, it might actually be easier to do because people don't feel love. They don't experience love. They don't routinely have people care about them that aren't directly related to them, if they even have that. And so when we put on the image of Christ and we do show that love and genuinely care and talk with and ask questions about and follow up with those questions about people, invest in people's lives, then there's an impact. There's an impact for Christ. And so thankful for that opportunity. But please know that opportunity is not just available to us three because we're something special or we're pastors, we have a title. No, that title belongs to everyone that's a follower of Jesus. These are These are the things we should do. As we talked about a couple weeks ago, these are God's will for your life. These are the things that we should do for Jesus. Actually, that was this last week, wasn't it?
Yes.
Anyway,
Yeah.
time is to reach out with the love of Christ. Life is short. Life is short. We got to cherish every moment. Take it in.
I just preached a funeral last Friday, and it was one of my cousins that had passed away, and he spent a good long while. When he would hear something that would just stir in his soul, he would go to this one file he had on his computer and just add that thought, whatever it might be. And when we looked at it, we were going to use part of those for his funeral, but he had entered over 101 pages. We were going to print it out at first, and then we realized it was over 100 pages, and we said, "Just send it to me in an electronic file."
Yeah.
And I'll peruse through them. I'm still working to get through them. I think I'm maybe a fourth of the way through, and I just sit and read those and contemplate on them. And one of the things he said, and I probably won't remember this exactly right, but he said, "When I give you some of my time, I'm giving you something that I could never get back.
Yeah.
Please don't make me regret that." And I thought, that is so deep. Because when we invest our time in others, that's something we could never get back. If I give somebody $100, I can make another $100 somewhere. Or if I give them, whatever tangible thing it is,
You're not getting that back.
I can go replace it. But each of us are given a certain amount of time. And, David, you had mentioned the rope illustration, where this little portion of the rope represents our lives, and the rest of the rope is eternity. But it's what we do in that short time that we are here that will last all through the rest of that.
And that's the challenge. We have to make sure that we're doing all we can do in the small amount of time we have on this earth.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we don't think of that.
Yeah. I mean, we're more worried about our investments for our retirement, which will still only last a short period of time.
Maybe 10 years.
Maybe. And we have to worry about our investment in the kingdom of God, because that's what really matters.
Yep.
Yep.
So yeah, that was a conversation that we were having prior to recording this, and so that's what we feel like God wanted us to share with you today. So I'm going to do something a little different to end today. Just maybe a little challenge to see if those that are listening, first, if they made it all the way to the end. So they listened to the whole thing. That'll be curious to find. So here's what I want you to do. If you're one of our many, there are a lot of people that listen across different platforms, and we hope you're sharing it with others so that it can continue to grow. Hopefully there's someone that needs to hear this today besides yourself. But here's what I want to do. I want to leave you with a sentence, a phrase that I need you to fill in the blank with. And so the next time you see one of us three, just come up to us and say this back to us, fill in the blank however you would fill in the blank. Give it a little thought and then share it with us. We would love to hear your answer to this. I can't wait for us to sit down potentially in the near future. You could email it to us, but it'd be better if you told us face to face. So here you go. Here's your thought. I need you to fill in the blank. Because life is short, I am going to... Because life is short, I am going to fill in that blank. How would you fill that blank in right now in your life? We can't wait to hear your responses to that. We are just three guys in the Bible. Thank you so much for joining us today. Talk to you again soon.